Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another installment of the Bullpen. Kev, we got a huge board. Why don't we get straight to it right now? Go ahead and lead us off.
Yeah, thanks, Raf. Today we're talking about the clean aesthetic of gold BJJ. They're phenomenal streetwear they've got. It's not just training gear, guys. You can get streetwear. Raf, are these all gold BJJ? All of these cards are gold BJJ?
Yep, just read the script like we talked about.
Yeah, you're right. They've got a variety of styles. They have a bag. It's phenomenal competition gear. You can bring it with you. You can throw it in the wash. Raf, these are really cool. Are any of these for me? Like that bag?
No. They didn't have any stuff for you. They ran out of your
well, they're really affordable if you need to go out there and get them. You can just get the stuff, goldbjj.com.
These shorts are awesome. I'm going to get this. Wait.
Oh, do they have a second set for me? Is that a thing they have?
They were like, hey, man, we ran out of stuff, and they didn't have it in your size because like fat. You know what I mean? So, like, these are all for like me. Anyway, go visit our friends at goldbjj.com.
10,000 hours is a steep mountain to climb to become a master, especially when the task at hand puts a relentless demand on your body. There is nothing casual about this sport. It's all in, all effort, all focus. It takes a lot from you, but the reward is unmatched. Mastery of oneself, an acute understanding of your weaknesses with an explosive sense of your strengths. Being able to complete the climb to mastery requires the proper nutrition. This is why it's important to take in a potent blend of electrolytes that is in tune with your output and brings strength to your goals. This potent blend is only found in salt electrolytes. Salt targets your depleted electrolyte levels with a boost of hydration and health. It gives your body the baseline recovery it needs.
Your BJJ game with inverted gear, where pandas and performance meet. Whether you train in a gi or prefer no gi, we have something for you. Our gear is built to last and designed to perform no flashy extras, just high-quality craftsmanship and minimal design. Plus, pandas. Don't miss our back-to-school sale going on now. Visit www.invertijar.com and roll with confidence panda style.
What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, RAF ESPARZA, coming to you with another great installment of the Bullpen. I hope you're having a great day. I'm having a pretty good day. Yeah, it's going to be good. No, I'm just kidding. I'm having a great day. I don't know what you guys are feeling right now. It is Friday, which means it is time to catch up with your friends here at the Bullpen. We have lots to talk about, clearly, but rather than jabber on, maybe reminding you to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're watching, blah, blah, blah. If you're watching on Inside BJJ, how about I just turn to the guy who hosts Inside BJJ, our good friend, one Tim Freeman, and ask him how he's doing. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic today. I love the jibber jabber, Raf. Keep it coming. I got no problem with it. I grew up on Hulk Hogan and Mr. T, so let's go, man. Glad to be back.
Fair enough. And it looks like we have somebody returning. This is great news. He wasn't here last week, and we have to fill him in on what we did to him. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. One handsome KEVIN Sherrill. Kevin, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. And in answer to the prompt, the microphone is set up. It is back in Atlanta, doing its best.
It's doing it. So wait, what do you mean it's doing its best? Why is it a single woman raising a child doing its best, sir?
It's just trying its hardest. It's out there living its best life, trying to bring the most out of this existence, sitting on my coffee table.
So what happened the last time? Because you were trying so hard to get it all situated and fixed up. So does it work now? You said that you did a Zoom and you tested it out.
Yeah. I did a Zoom call with fans of the show, mom and dad, and to test it all out and make sure the audio is working, make sure the mic worked, make sure it was where I wanted it to be. And it all is. It's great. It works perfect. And it's at home.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. So we have a couple things to update you on. So last week on the board, we put up something, a little prompt, and I'm not sure if you saw on the scratch sheet, but it was a surprise. So that is for October surprise. Now, originally the thought was going to be, if you were able to make it, that we would all have to give up a submission for the month of October, thus an October surprise. But you weren't here. So I feel like it only really affects you now. So
Okay.
I guess the idea is this. Are you amicable to a challenge for the month of October that if we were to give you this challenge, you wouldn't be able to do said move?
Yes, absolutely. Especially, I'm training all weekend out here in Seattle with a whole bunch of new people. I can't wait for the little handicap. Let's go.
Okay. See, Tim, what were you talking about the whole time last week? You were like, he would never go for that. He's simple. He's not handsome. He's simple, Kevin. And I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. He's like very amicable to stuff and things and wearing hats. So I guess the idea is
my hair
I
keeps
like
running
that.
away, man. I need the hat.
I like the idea that it's like, of all things it was going to stop on for my face, it definitely picked a very good still shot to kill on that one. But Tim, what was the stipulation we were going to throw at Kevin for this October surprise?
Well, the idea was that we were going to ban you from doing a submission for the month. But I don't think we arrived at one yet. Do you remember us arriving at one?
Here's where we went. And it was in the realm of saying we were going through stuff, and where we landed was lower body. Now,
Oh, that's right.
I feel like all of the lower body is
Off limits for you, Kevin. Will you accept the
All of
challenge?
it?
Are you all of it? Are you man enough?
All of it.
Do you want to be an 8 or do you want to be a 6? That's the question.
This is brutal. There's specifically
up,
a
dog.
person I'm intending to leg lock this week.
Well, you
Wait,
should have
wait.
showed up last week.
Hold on, let me ask this real quick. You planned your travel, you got your itinerary out, and you were like, well, let's see, I travel here and I go this and I will leg lock this person. That's what you were
Here's a
doing?
list.
Almost exactly. I have side quests. There's
See what I'm
people out here
saying?
that are like friends of my friends that like we all kind of like get together and we like talk about our training partners' jiu-jitsus. I'm out here with Mario Gayor and Kiahi, whose last name I can never pronounce. Mahekau. They're both PGF veterans and super close friends of mine. And they have training partners who like we've hung out at ADCC trials, we've all talked, and someone said, yeah, man, this guy's really dangerous in the legs. He's really good at it. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna leg lock that guy. Him specifically.
Are you though? That's the question.
Turns out I'm not. Turns out I'm not.
Okay, so hold on. Let's do this. Tim, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about all lower
Stop
body
trying to be
submissions.
fair, dude. Come on. He said yes. We
He
got
agreed,
him,
dude.
dude.
No, that's fair. You know what? I was gonna try and work out something here, but I think Tim
were
spoke
you
to my
thinking?
grief. Well, I was gonna ask you, what is your best?
Damn it.
Hold on. What is your best submission? Just for a leg submission, what is your best leg submission attack?
Probably a straight ankle, to be honest. I have a pretty nasty straight ankle. I like an outside heel hook and an inside heel hook as well, and Aoki locks. But as far as like, if I need the tap, I'm going straight ankle. I'm gassing up.
Okay, I have an idea then.
Hit me, Tim.
Sorry. He just named off 4 or 5 submissions. Let's say he can't do those.
Mm-hmm.
All the ones that he says that he likes. You could do other stuff, but you can't do those on the legs.
So that leaves knee bars, toe holds, steamer locks, and reverse straight ankles. Let's go. That's got to count. Reverse straight ankle is different than a straight ankle, right?
No, I think you're stretching now, man.
All right.
It sounds like you need a better lawyer representing you, because I feel the
I
Ardeo
gotta call
boys
those.
are going to be really mad when they figure out the stipulations we just gave you. Here's what I would say. Okay, let's try this out this weekend, okay? I challenge you to not use any of them this weekend. Now, granted, I will give you a pass to use it once just this weekend if you need it. Because everybody knows sometimes you got to bust out that card. It's a little bit different. But then after that, it's no leg submissions for the rest of the month. Can we agree to that?
Honestly, that's almost better than I'm walking around. I feel like I'm walking around with a gun with one bullet in it. I got to make it count. I almost like that better.
There's something about the idea that you know what the weird part was, I was going to ask if you were competing anymore this month. Are you competing anymore this month?
I don't think so. I don't plan on it. Someone might reach out. I've done a few like last minute things, but as things go, I'm taking October off for the last 3 weeks of October off. I got a couple guys in camp, and I'm getting ready for what's going to be a really taxing November for us as well.
Yeah, let's not bring that up anymore. It's making me think.
Can you rattle off those submissions one more time? I have ankle locks, Aoki locks, heel hooks.
Yeah, those are the three. Inside, outside.
No. You said like 5. Oh, inside, outside. Okay.
Inside and outside, Aoki, and straight ankle.
Okay.
And reverse straight, since that counts now too.
It does.
It's a different submission.
He's on our side now. He's like, you guys should take some more away, actually, because
I've never seen anybody be like, no, you didn't make it hard enough, you idiots. Here, I'm going to act as now the prosecution, too.
Listen,
okay.
A reverse armbar is totally different than a classic armbar.
So I'm glad that you were amicable to this, but I must ask, what happened to you last week that rendered you unable to join us? Because, as you may recall, I know I could be branded as an evil host who's very, very pushy and who says, no, the show must go on at all times. But did I or did I not ask specifically on your trip to Chicago if that might be a problem, and maybe we find either a different day or we just figure out something else?
So what happened was we got off the flight in Chicago. So there was a hurricane in Atlanta. It was this past weekend. Time flies. This past weekend, there was a hurricane in Atlanta. So we weren't 100% certain we were even going to make it out to the Chicago Open. Me and two of my blue belts were going to compete at the ADCC Chicago Open. So we didn't book hardly anything. Like I registered at the very last minute for the Open. We got off the plane in Chicago without an Airbnb or a hotel and just were walking around booking them. And we booked one to book this Airbnb. No worries. We're chilling.
Yeah.
And it's in early. So we were just walking around the city. Can you still hear me? Did I go out?
We
were just walking around the city. When y'all went live, I was like, man, do I phone in while we're just walking on the street with all of our luggage in Chicago? And like just glitch, like, hey, looking like a huge tourist, not paying attention, I'm gonna get robbed. Like,
that wouldn't have been too bad, actually.
Like, what are you describing that you think I wouldn't want on camera?
No.
Like, just you being like, oh no, I might get robbed. That's fucking viral right there, young man. Get out of here.
I'm not trying to be the fight at the end of the gallery. We're coming to you live.
You know what, though? You probably would have won that one. So I think you would have been okay. I got money on you in the streets, especially from some crackhead that doesn't have good form.
That's for sure. Yeah.
So I guess the reason why I asked that is that I was hoping you would call in because we were just sitting there and I go, oh, well, Kevin's here. And then I thought he's not going to call. And then I realized you were dealing with other things. So I would just say to your team, Godspeed. I'm glad that you guys made it all safe. But I just want you to hear what I'm hearing on this side, which is I was like, hey, Kev, can you tell me why you weren't on last week's show? And your response was, I don't want to say it was all the hurricane's fault, but it's like you clearly made it all the way to fucking Chicago. So starting off with, I mean,
I had a backpack. My other guy had a backpack. The third guy had a roller bag. And if you've ever traveled in the city carrying a roller bag around, I'm like, you are a walking target, bro. We're so screwed. I was like, man, I don't want to be looking at my phone and not paying attention to keep my head on a swivel because we're going to get robbed. I was waiting for people to accost us.
This is how you know you aren't quite used to, you city folk aren't used to Chicago, the real Chicago. They're not going to fucking rob you, dude. They got other things to do. They're going to rob each other. They're not going to rob fucking noobs who barely have enough money to get into the Airbnb. They're just like, hey, listen, those guys have it robbed. Let's leave them alone.
They're going to see the cauliflower ear and go, oh, he's broke. There's no point robbing him.
The last thing I'm going to bring up before
right.
we go to the board is that this week I saw Ben. Ben came to train with me. And, you know, I was just sitting there with him and then I sent you guys a video. Now, Tim, what was the video that I sent you? Do you mind describing what it is that I sent?
It was a video of you and young Ben, and you were talking, recapping your roll session, more or less, and comparing and contrasting it to Ben's experience with one KEVIN Sherrrill, who at that time was not playing under any kind of handicap rules. He had full access to all the submissions. And young Ben gave his feedback on it. I think it's interesting.
Kevin, what was your response to the feedback? And specifically, did anything cut deep?
I have to cripple Ben now. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we've come to this.
I agree with you, Kevin. This is how it works. He'll find out.
I like the fact that Tim thought, well, now they have to fight. And I was like, no. Instead, Kevin raised the stakes and says, I will out pinata Ben. So now it's just seeing who gets a better swing at the pinata. And that's a challenge I am very, very into, because I will let you know, and this is fully for you, Kevin. And the session happens. He gives me that look. He doesn't fully say the words, but he's kind of like, I think I'm done, kind of like vibe. And I said, hey, man, you got to stand up and wrestle. And he goes, what? And he goes, why? And I go, you told Kevin you were going to wrestle, and then you did pull guard. And I was very disappointed in that. So I'm going to assume Kevin has better wrestling than I do. So you calling him out and saying, I'm going to stand up and wrestle you, and then you don't, this is your penance. And that poor kid was just like, this is the worst thing you could do to me. And I said, probably. So even though some of it was in, of course, jest, I did make sure your honor was upheld.
I think I need to have a match with Ben.
Yeah.
I think it's only fair. I think you should have to roll with all of us and then make a decision
What I'm hearing is the bullpen is about to live up to its name, and we are going to have a home run derby. And baseball.
Ben is the baseball.
It just made me laugh so hard, because I think for you guys, a very solid black belt, a very solid brown belt, I think the shock that I wasn't as horrible as described, like, cut him deep in a way that was like, I thought I had a chance against Raf. And I was like, no, nah, man, I'm sorry. And then I would give him a break. I would like let him rest every like 10 minutes. And I'd be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Okay, back to work. And he goes, fuck. So I do like the idea that now I'm just going to come back to him and be like, hey, bud, I didn't schedule you to do anything production wise, but we will be beating the shit out of you. So we do it because we love you. So thanks, Ben. Good work. Gents, are we ready to go to the board?
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. All right, let's start off with this. Yes, the PGF had its final qualifier out in Las Vegas. And if you watched the 1 hour video of it, and I hope you have, if you haven't, go check it out now. Actually, after we do this show. Our good friend Dorion was able to make his way and punch his way from the bottom back up to the top. He got eliminated very quickly, not very quickly, but on his fourth match. And as a result, it's a double elimination bracket. So he was able to fight his way back out, making PGF history. I just finished an interview with Dory. It's going to go to subscribers at my Patreon very soon, but that's the last qualifier that happened. So now we're just seeing the slow drip of individuals that will be making their way onto the PGF stage. I'm going to start with this. I'm actually going to go with you, Kevin, first. What advice can you give to individuals who will be competing at the PGF who basically made it through the qualifier process?
There's some like simple guidelines for the PGF. Ultimately, Brandon is really good at giving you guys the information you need, but it doesn't really hit home until you're in there. This is not finding out who does the best jiu-jitsu, and if you approach it that way, you're probably going to struggle more than you need to. This is, how do I use my jiu-jitsu to win this game? So if you approach jiu-jitsu classically, dominating positions, moving into positions of greater dominance, and then proceeding to try and submit them, you're going to struggle. You need to chase submissions and take risks immediately. It is extremely difficult if you train for, say, ADCC rules, IBJJF rules, even sub-only with 10 minutes. It is where there's an EBI overtime or a decision at the end, there's some sort of conclusion. It is extremely difficult to change your pacing to that 6 minutes. I would strongly recommend you start doing a camp for it, and you open up specifically and ask yourself, can I reliably put people away? Especially people who aren't my training partners, people who have no interest of doing jiu-jitsu with me, people who know my game. Start figuring out how to put specific looks away. There's usually 3 different looks you get in the PGF. You get guys who are trying to put you away. And surprisingly, those are the easiest matches. Those are the most exchange. You're going to get a ton of exchanges. You're going to get a ton of looks. There are people who are going in there who know your game, not necessarily opening up. You don't really know, and you have to you have to convince them to open up. And then there's people that have no interest whatsoever. They are trying to survive. Those guys are brutal to crack open in 6 minutes, especially if they're savvy, especially if you have a known game.
Copy that. Thank you so much for that. And I did get a note from Tim who said his feed just dropped. So if you're looking over on this side and he's not there, that is why. I want to come back to you for this, Kevin, because my man Dory, I love him. He's amazing. He had a rough return back. That dude, if anything, though, has a great gas tank and grinds. But in my interview with him, I did try to communicate something. And I think you are well known in this regard, which is Dory made it, but he didn't have submissions through some of his eras, if you would, or some of his matches. And as a result of that, it was kind of getting this thing where he was saying, like, dude, some of these guys are talking trash to me right now. I tried giving him the warning, like, hey, bro, the PGF audience is growing and not all of them are practitioners. So there's gonna be some people chirping off in the comment sections. So to Dory and those in this world of competing in there, what advice do you have for those who might be addressing their jiu-jitsu in a very heightened way?
If we're discussing the critics, those are your fans. Those are your fans. You need to approach it that way. I have an extremely low opinion of anybody that gets into my comments, especially my comments. You're really wasting your time doing that. Gets into my comments criticizing my jiu-jitsu, and I think you guys should too. However, don't ignore them. Absolutely engage with them. Put them on blast. Treat them as exactly as you would if somebody said that to you. Don't try and beat them up. You're on your Instagram. Make these fools look silly. They came to you. They're taking time out of their day to try and have a negative interaction with you. Let them have that negative interaction, my friend.
This is just the wrong person to ever go for this sort of parable. Like, Kevin's going to be the person writing the books that goes, if somebody bullied you, you find somebody else and you bully them. So that's going to be the children's book that Kevin writes. Tim, your internet cut out and you came back with a snack. So it begs the question.
I did.
Did your internet actually go out, or did you just want a snack?
No, it dropped. And so I had to go check. I have this long Ethernet cable that goes out of my studio, down the hallway, and into the front of my gym, and then into my Comcast router. And I thought maybe they're doing OpenMat right now in the gym. I thought maybe somebody unplugged it. So I walked over there. And while I was there, I have a nice little Halloween snack bowl, and strictly follows the Gracie diet. Reese's do. So then I brought it back and ate a little snack while I got reconnected. But I think the LAN cable died, man.
Can I tell you the real victim here?
Yes.
My wife buys Halloween candy in middle of September. There is no way that candy is going to survive. And I don't understand why she gets it in the middle of the prices aren't lower. She just has it on hand because I guess we want to have something to hand these kids. But I will tell you, those Kit Kats do not survive. Everything else, I don't give a shit. But literally the Kit Kats are the first thing I attack. Tim.
Yes.
I want to come back to this. What advice do you have for the incoming freshmen of the PGF for season 7?
Well, I would say this. If this is your first time, your first experience with the PGF, then you should go back and at least watch season 6. And I would watch the whole thing just to get a good idea of the marathon that the season's going to be. Because I think, as athletes, like you have these thoughts, you project in your mind how you think it's going to play out. And maybe the first night feels that way because that's literally your first set of matches. But by the time you get to your second, third, and fourth day, your body's functioning at a different level. You're beat up. You may have not had the success that you were expecting based on this idea that you had going into it. So I would go back and watch it and get a feel for the pacing of it and approach it with that mindset right out of the beginning. I think that's what you're going to need. It's not always the guys who jump out the first day or two that are in the lead on day 4. So you got to be familiar with it, man. That's the best way to do it.
Thank you for that, Tim. And thank you to everybody chiming in right now. I see the Chief, Power Slap. I appreciate that. We love the PGF as well. We will be the pre and post show elements for that. Egghead did point this out, as only Egghead can, and said Dory only had 1 submission in the qualifier. Now, here's the good news on that. It was the right time to have the 1 submission, because if he had made it at the very end, all by decisions, and didn't have the submission at the end, I think our fans and our group would not be as happy. But if you're somebody who's looking at it from a team strategy element, you got somebody who doesn't get submitted all that easily, could be very helpful for your team. Somebody who has a long gas tank. Just saying, those are things that sometimes, if you are looking at it from the team standpoint, can be your cooler, can be your person who could help change some of the dynamics when you really need them to come in. And that's on top of the fact that maybe he has a better performance on those days. It's hard to say, but I do love the fact he's got great wrestling, a great gas tank, and, maybe it's a surprise, but he definitely made it his way in through a qualifying process. And thank you so much for this commercial here, Egghead. Watch season 6 and the documentary whose episodes premiere each Friday. So, Egg, we talked about this before. And I just have to remind you, the way in which you talk like AI, it is concerning. I do want to put you into one of those AI chatbots and see if I can improve the text. And it'll basically say, there is no improvement. I wrote that. So, and it says, he's like a Nathan Haddad, a stopper that is likely to get a kill if he's going to get a submission. See, that's the interesting part, is that I don't know what he's like with the current roster of people. And I think that's a good segue to our next topic. So as we kind of look at this, the next topic we do go into right now is that of, all right, now we know who more than half of the individuals are for the PGF. My question to this panel, pitch me on who should make it to that PGF. So right now, you can make your pitches for people that you either have not seen or those who might make a great alternate. I'm going to start with you. Clock is on the board. One, Tim Freeman.
So I got a couple names that I'm going to throw out there. One of them is someone that we saw at Subversive, also somebody that we saw go to the Las Vegas qualifiers on a red eye from Detroit to Las Vegas after he had won his fight on Friday night in Detroit. And he went 1-1 at the qualifiers, which, you know, the qualifiers, there were quite a few rounds this time. That's not the best performance that you could possibly have. We get that. But at the same time, I think Jared Fichetti is really in a good spot right now. I think he's a great personality to have as an alternate. And I think he's going to give the PGF kind of what they need in terms of having a personality, having a character, providing some kind of story that can be told. The other person is someone that I've trained with a lot in the past, and I've been pushing for this guy a lot. His name is Jonathan Tomasian. He calls himself Yeppy. Recently got his black belt from Six Blades, and he's right in that weight class. He's young. He could jump in. He's got a versatile style. I think he would do really well in a format like that, especially as an alternate. So I'm rooting for those two dudes. I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors about alternates or any other roster people, to be honest. I feel like this time last year I had a much better, or last time I had a much better idea of who was going to be on the roster. There's still some question marks out there.
Thank you for that, Tim. Kevin, I come to you. Who do you have as alternates or as people who would make great additions to the current PGF roster?
Sean Strickland, and put a mic on him. I think you grab Sean Strickland, you put him at 205. He doesn't have to cut much weight. You put a little, he already lives in Las Vegas. Put a mic on him. He's very good at grappling. He's had a match with Andy Varela, last season's PGF champ, and he will talk his face off, man. Like, if you want people to tune in, that's the guy. He can grapple. He'll probably get some submissions. He'll probably manhandle some people. And the entire time, he will be doing his best to get the PGF demonetized on YouTube. But we'll get great viewers.
I mean, I'll tell you this much. That match with him and Andy Varela is the go-to explanation I use for don't turn your back. Like, even he cannot turn his back on somebody as hungry as Andy Varela. But I would point this out. I think those were some good picks, but I would just kind of make mention of one individual that kind of stuck out to me. And I believe it was Andrews Dyer, or Andy Dyer, if we're referring to him as that. But Andrews puts his name as Andrews on his smooth comp. So I don't know if the S is supposed to be silent, whatever. He was great. He was a really good clash up against Dory. So that's one part of it. But the second part is he was catching some really unique submissions just based off of recognition of his body. It's the I compete in a t-shirt. Now you got to compete in a rash guard in this world sort of style clash. He looks like he's super chill, and he's also produced good results for us over at Subversive. So he was somebody that I was keeping my eye on, and I thought, man, he had a great run, but the PGF qualifier at Vegas last week was only for one spot. There was no alternate spots. So to go back to what Tim was mentioning, maybe just a few seconds ago, you know, maybe Tim doesn't know what's going on, but if BMAC wasn't coming to introduce that segment as saying like, oh, we're going to look for some backups as well, or even on camera mentioning backups like he did with some of the other videos we've seen in the past from him, it does kind of beg the question, how much more is there right now that we currently do not know?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think there could be some surprises, you know. I hope there is. I think that's probably the way to go. They're going to pull something off. I think they're going to make an improvement on a certain level. They're going to do that, and it will be a surprise. I don't know if it will be like a shock, but there's a lot still kind of out there, man.
And do you know if we could refer to him as Andy or Andrews? Because I didn't quite get that one.
No, I don't know if he added the S to his name by mistake. Like, does it show up anywhere else? Does Smooth Comp like lock him in?
Like, even then, I just think to myself, sometimes people have a different way they want to be referred to. You mentioned Gabriel Checo Zangief, really fun to watch, fun wrestling submissions and attitude. Well, he definitely would have the personality for it. So yeah, it's convenience. I wouldn't be surprised if he is tap saved for something in the future for PGF. So interesting nomination there. Definitely makes sense from a production standpoint. So hats off to Egg for that one. Let us move on to our next topic, but I am very excited. I don't know if people realize, we're now less than a month away from the first day of PGF already being done. That to me is incredibly soon. It doesn't feel like it, but I think it's because we've been in an election season that feels like it's been 29 years. So it's probably part of the reason why. We move to our next topic, which is, do you guys remember the Fight Pass Invitational is happening next week? There are some very interesting matches on this one. They made about 3 or 4 announcements right in a row that caught my attention, and I wonder if it caught the attention of our panel here as well. I'm going to go to you first, Tim. Tim, what are you most excited about for the Fight Pass Invitational next Thursday?
Well, there's a couple big matches on the card that stand out to me. Obviously, the main event, Nicky Rod versus Michael Pixley, I think is going to be something that catches eyeballs because Pixley's coming off a pretty big victory over Marigali at ADCC. That was maybe the whole highlight of ADCC was Pixley taking out Marigali. So there's some heat on his name. Obviously, Nicky Rod just won $1 million at CJI. So both is a main event. That's a great idea in terms of promotion. Outside of that, the other 2 matches on the card that I'm really interested in are PJ Barch, Hanato Canuto. I think they're both fast-paced guys. Shouldn't be a boring match. I think you're going to see both guys try some pretty dynamic things. I don't think that match is going to go to a decision. Probably the one I'm most interested in, though, is Andy Varela and Dante Leon. Dante is a master at jiu-jitsu, and Varela is hungry. We know he won PGF Season 6. He didn't get the result he wanted at CJI. He's competitive. He's not just going to let his foot off the gas. I think he's going to try to come out and make a statement in his hometown. So for me, those 3 matches are the ones I'm really looking forward to when FPI 8 comes around.
Thank you for that, Tim. I'm going to come to you, Kevin. What are you most looking forward to at UFC Fight Pass 8?
There's some specific exchanges I'm interested in seeing. I wouldn't have been super interested, to be honest, in the Dante versus Andy match. Don't get me wrong. It would have been exciting, but I would have seen it as a wrestling match prior to ADCC CJI weekend, where Dante showed off some really impressive leg game. I really want to see if Dante pulls. I want to see if he can manage to entangle Andy. That's an extremely tall order. Trying to drag Andy Varela into leg locks is a really tough task. So that particular exchange is something I'm looking forward to. I want to see how they approach each other. I also want to see if Pixley can Harai Goshi Nicky Rod. That's another tall order, but he just did it to Marigali, who's extremely difficult to throw. I'm curious about these specific exchanges to see whose game wins out based on the improvements all of these guys have been making. All 4 of those athletes have gotten dramatically better in the last handful of months even. I'm curious, to say the least.
Yes, and thank you for that, Kevin. Just to kind of circle on this, there are some other matches that are on this, and it's such a hidden gem. You have Gabriel Souza, Justin Saros. You've also got Pedro Falco versus Christian Guzman. So there are a few, and I thought I remembered hearing that it would be both Canutos competing, but I haven't seen a placard for that. And if I missed it, my apologies. So
she's fighting Gabrielle McComb.
Thank you for that. I just always find these things interesting because obviously you're going to go top of the card, promote those, and get those out there. But I did appreciate some of the matchmaking here. And to go back to what Kevin was alluding to with Pixley and Nicky Rod, the common conception here in jiu-jitsu is always that Nicky Rod has this advantage in wrestling. With Pixley, you do have somebody who makes it interesting in that way. And you do feel like, all right, the edge might be for Nicky Rod, but can you imagine the upset that happened once, happening twice, where if Pixley upset Nicky Rod, the disruption that would create in that world and ecosystem? And I have to say, I'm kind of here for it. I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see something like that create some chaos for somebody who was a self-appointed and a self-anointed double winner of ADCC that did not come to fruition. Nicky Rod, who is a $1 million winner, getting a win over him. I think that could be very interesting. The question is, does it happen? You'll have to tune in this Thursday on the Fight Pass Invitational. Very excited for that one. Gentlemen, we're going to move forward. But as we move forward, I guess this is a move forward with a little bit of a question mark. This was pitched to me on the scratch sheet in a way that I don't know if I'm going to bill this accurately, but I will read it vaguely in the way it was written on page. So I will pull my best Ron Burgundy here. And the prompt is as follows. We have one person here on our panel who has a bit of a rant, a bit of a warning about going the way of the IBJJF and for ADCC and for future promotions with mainstream ambitions. Now, I guess with all of that prefaced, I'm going to turn it over to the person you would probably assume it is. In one, Kevin Sherrill, you have the floor. What say you, sir, about the state of BJJ competitions?
Well, first, let's fix the state of this camera for my monologue. Sorry, guys. I'm sitting on a bed. We're doing this thing on the road. So, I have a couple of things I've noticed over the last, we'll say, 6 months of watching active competitors, mine, friends of mine, myself competing, and watching the general pro jiu-jitsu scene. CJI seems to have sparked a lot of innovation, a lot of people stepping out there and saying, you know what, I can do this too. I can run my own promotion. I can start my own show. I can do an event. And you can. You absolutely can. It's on the table. However, as athletes, you need to be concerned about new promotions. I've heard some minor horror stories. I've experienced some where new promotions, new promoters, and ambitious guys may bite off more than they can chew. Just yesterday, someone I know is out $500, $700 because her match got canceled on a last-minute rule change around weigh-ins, and her opponent wasn't going to be able to make weight. Match is canceled. She already bought her tickets and her Airbnb. She's just out. Can't make that money back. I've heard of a good number, a few, where someone took the money and ran. I've had some blue and white belts who registered for a tournament, asked for a refund, couldn't get it back. They took the money and ran. First-time events, first-time promotions, they don't have anything at stake. That brand's not established. You're not going to track them down. So be careful. That's if we're not operating in good faith. Now I want to speak to the promotions that are genuinely attempting to go mainstream, to be big. I'm not talking about some one-offs. I'm talking about someone who wants to really establish a new thing. And I want to talk about what, in my opinion, is a failure of a promotion, kind of, in the IBJJF, where they're sort of universally disliked, not thought very well of, we'll say. They don't have a great reputation among most competitors in the jiu-jitsu scene in general. That's broad strokes, but work with me. And then I want to compare it to our newest upstart that we do like, which is the PGF, and talk about what they do differently. When you think of the IBJJF, does anybody not have a friend who's been, or have a story of them getting screwed over by the calls? Having an uncaring staffer kick you out because you didn't use their new gi marketing tool to figure out that your gi was legal at the last second, and now you're out money. Promotions that are trying to go mainstream don't focus on the rule set, don't focus on cool smoke machines, fireworks, whatever. Try and run a program with integrity. Decide on your rule set, stick to it, don't change things up, and be ready to speak with athletes from a position of how do I create fairness. The PGF has done a phenomenal job of telling you exactly what it is, what to expect, and stick to it. Even among all the changes, even among all the turbulence of the last few seasons, Brandon has been very consistent with his goals, his message, and he communicates that openly. Hey guys, we're building American Idol. We want entertainment. Everything we do is going to go in that direction. That's what you can expect from us. If you have any problems, please come talk to me. He cares. With all of the stalling calls that went on last year, we had a running bit of me versus the referees. But if you actually watched, I went over and talked to the referees. I don't actually really like those guys. They were trying to get it right. I know that. I felt that. We had conversations around it. Try. Be genuine. Approach things with integrity. That's what's going to get you the furthest. Don't look for cool branding. Don't hop on the new trendy rule set first. Decide what you want. Pick a goal, pick a value, pick a message, and stick to it. That's my word of advice based on a handful of horror stories I've seen over the last few months.
Thank you for that, Kevin. Tim, do you have any response to any of that?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, dealing with promoters in almost any industry is a very tricky process. And this problem has been around in jiu-jitsu for a long time, actually. And it's getting more exposure now because there's so many more eyeballs on it. Yeah, I think Kevin's right. I think people should get out there and hustle and do everything they can. If you want to build a promotion, man. It's America. You can do what you want. But at the same time, you know, you got to come through with the goods before you start living like you're balling on Instagram. And there's a lot of that. It's like a lot of the style over substance is going on big time in that world. So good. Call them out. We need more people like Kevin to call it out and be fair about it. At the same time where the athletes have to come with a better attitude and be professional and treat it like a professional sport, the promoters have to do the same thing. They have to come to it with that attitude. And if you're just coming to it like, hey, man, I'm going to try to make as much money as I can on this one particular single event, this is the wrong time. It's not right. You got to stop.
Yeah, I would tell you as somebody who's kind of crossed both lines on these things, it is very difficult to try and appease things, especially when you don't have a budget, you don't have stuff like that. But I think a lot of Kevin's fixes are more geared toward what does your organization stand for? Like, what is it you're trying to angle out of it? What are you trying to get? And what do you want people to take away at the end of the experience? And I know we were joking about this a couple weeks ago, but I legitimately looked at doing No-Gi Worlds and then looked at the price range and was like, why would I do this? Like, why would I spend this money when it's December and it's Christmas and I should probably buy things for other people? And I just thought, I don't know, like, what does that mean to me? And what does it mean to do one of those things? And it felt bad for it because I go, maybe it's just not the right time, right place. I'll do it again in the future. But I feel like these are conversations that people have, and that's feedback. Do with it what you will. But I do feel like there is a little bit of a stance in terms of some organizations that it is very difficult to execute what you want to do. But I think people are a little more forgiving if you're very clear on what the intentions are, because I think people should expect failures to happen. That's how businesses work. It's just a matter of how you go around learning from those failures or those mistakes and how you go to repair them. So, Kev, is that put a button on what you were feeling there, sir?
Yeah, the heart of it boils down to, if you're trying to run a promotion that is based around fair competition, approach it that way. If you're trying to run something that's entertaining, be upfront with your athletes and tell them that. Yeah, it's values. You can all run that. Whatever your budget is, you can stick with a vision. Just have that vision and stick with it. Yeah.
Well, if you missed this, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see it in the near future, probably in about 4 months, on Kevin's Instagram stories. So please stay advised and keep an eye on that. Let's go ahead and move forward before somebody tries to figure out if that revolves around them or not. Moving on to the next topic. This is interesting because our next one is actually just saying banned. So, all right. I guess this was pitched by Tim, and the question that he proposed to us is, what are the moves that point blank would get you kicked out of a gym if you used? So I guess that's a very good place to go ahead and go. But I'll start with you, Tim. What is a move that you have banned at your gym?
Well, I got to set this up. And here's how I came up with that idea. I read a story about a Premier League soccer player named João Gomez who was recently transferred to the Wolverhampton Wanderers. I don't know if they're playing Quidditch or soccer, but he was transferred and he said he's not going to train jiu-jitsu. Apparently he's a purple belt in this new town because he has yet to find a team he can trust so that he won't get hurt, which is like, that's impossible in jiu-jitsu. But it got me thinking, he banned himself from the gyms. He pulled himself out, right? Most of the time it's the other way around where the gym is like, no, we're throwing you out. And I started thinking, like, what would get you banned from a gym? And for me, I don't know if it's a particular move, but I have some pet peeves for sure. One is any kind of purposeful passing of gas near somebody else's facial area. That's automatic, dude. You're out. That is chemical warfare. That's a no-go. You're not allowed to do that at all. Some dudes think that's funny. Not funny. Not cool. The other thing for me, which is, I hate to use this term, but a major red flag and could get you on probation for the rest of that class. I'm going to have to fill you out, is if you come in and you tell me that you're a Japanese jiu-jitsu black belt and you'd like to teach lessons and trade with me, and you'll teach a program to my students, and then you'll train for free. That is also a big time, like, you can't do that here. That's not going to operate that way. It's a fundamental misunderstanding on your behalf, my man. That will also get you banned from my gym pretty quickly.
Thank you for that. Kevin, what, if anything, would get you banned from a gym that you would be running or would be conducting, sir?
I have a ban on all flying attacks in my room. If 2 feet leave the ground, I'm going to yell at you. If you jump guard, if you jump a triangle, flying leg scissors, flying arm bar, I am going to yell at you. There's a little bit of grace if you're hitting like a rolling Kimura or a rolling guillotine, but those are the ones. If I see 2 feet leave the ground, I am yelling at you because you are just praying that your training partner, I don't know, can catch you on the side of their knee. I just don't like them. I think they're low skill maneuvers for the most part. I think there's something people do rather than do the difficult shit of wrestling and working in the clinch and hand fighting. So I think they're simultaneously lazy and reckless, and I don't like them. You are better off punching somebody in my gym. Straight up. If you hit somebody, I'll separate you and I might give you gloves. If you jump guard, you're out of here. You're out.
You guys are way less fun than I am. See, I am an indulger of nonsense. So sometimes I go, well, let me see what you're going to do. And then I see it. And then it's just kind of like a feel thing. Sometimes I just go like, yeah, I don't like that. And it depends. Like this week I saw a kid who was rolling with somebody significantly smaller than them. And this dude was about to powerbomb the kid. And part of me was like, do it. And the other part of me was like, wait, I'm the coach. Shit. So I even told him, I was like, put him down. He goes, I know, coach. And I go, what did we just talk about? And he's like, going 50% less. And I was like, yeah, dude, you're day one. Don't powerbomb my guys. And then I walked over him and I told him, I'm like, I know it's your day one, and normally I don't let day one people roll, but this wasn't the gym that I necessarily teach at all the time. And I just go like, but it just told me that you had good control. I want to see more of that. Like, I think the hard part for me is I have to watch them like hawks and kind of see where it is. But I've definitely been known to, when I see somebody going for a heel hook and they're like a white belt and they haven't been taught it, I go, what's that? And they're like, oh, it's a heel hook. And I go, yeah, everybody can do heel hooks. Not you, though. You haven't been taught them. Why are you doing that? I go, the new rule is going to be you heel hook somebody, I get to heel hook you. And now I don't care anymore because I can at least stop it before you rip their fucking knee off. I don't know that you're going to know it's happening. And they're just like, so catch and release. And I was like, catch and release sounds great to me. Sounds good. Just do that, guys. The hard part is you don't know until it's too late. So banning them is not necessarily a bad move. Jumping stuff, smart idea. Leg locks, I think it's good to teach them day one. And then as Tim is mentioning, I didn't even know that would be a possibility on this answer, which is, hey, if you try to pitch me on what it is I can hire you to do so you can train for free at this gym, not interested. Thanks, guy.
Yeah, a lot of those guys come through. I got a question on the flying attacks, Kevin.
Yeah.
What about a flying guillotine? And here's my argument. There's some guys that weigh like $120, and literally they can't do anything else, like in terms of getting a takedown outside of pulling guard, and they get mashed on pretty well when they do that. So what about those kinds of moves? Like they're jumping up and trying to get that arm over, not necessarily like jumping with the legs, they're leading with the arms.
Yeah, the guillotine is the one I'm the most forgiving with, but I've still got a no on it. And it's for the almost the opposite reason. This is why I'm more forgiving, because yeah, it's not super dangerous to the guy you're jumping on. But like if you jump that guillotine on somebody that knows what they're doing, you might get launched, son. You might get flared out and sent. So it's not really a ban. It's more like, hey, bro, I don't think you should do that, because if you go flying through the air and he just helps you, you're getting sent. I have I've dropped a couple people that have jumped guillotines on me in competition, and I just turn them sideways and literally shove them off of me, and they just go flying from 5 feet in the air. So it's not really a hard ban. I do have one more, though.
Oh, let's hear it.
This is not banned, but I want it to be. Tickling.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Get out of here with that, dude. Yes.
So wait, I'm sorry. You have a follow-up to that? You have a dude, let me tell you. Who's doing it?
There's some ticklers out there,
MMA
dude.
Fighter named Ron Humphrey, Career Ender Humphrey on Instagram. And he trains at ATT with Ernesto. And this man is an incredibly good fighter. He's a college wrestler. He wrestled at Iowa Central. He's a beast all around. Really good. And if I put him in leg entanglements, he will tickle the bottom of my feet, and it fills me with fury, rage. I want to hit this guy with my car. And I tell him this. I let him know. Wow. I like Ron a lot, and in those moments, I hate him.
Yeah, you like him a lot. You just said you're going to hit him with your car, Kevin.
Bro, I'm just saying, our friendship goes out the window. I really like this guy, and when he tickles my feet, and just laughs. I'm like in the middle of trying to break his legs, and he's not taking me seriously. He's just, ha, 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 tickle, tickle. I hate it. I've never hated anything more. I want to run him over.
And make the cut right there for the reel, whoever's editing it, because that was perfect.
I have to be honest. There's a lot of stuff I predict that either one of you will say, and that was not on my list, but I guess it should have been, all things considered. But here's the good news. This month, he shouldn't be able to do it, right? Like, he's not going to be attacked on the lower legs, so
that's true.
I think everybody's clean on that one. I do want to point this out. My friend Michael Frosto does a great job. He actually made posters himself, like graphically designed them, and they're in his gym. And it never goes without fail that somebody who comes to an open mat or comes to visit this gym tries to do some dumb shit, and we literally just point to the sign like, nah, dude, see right here, see what that is? What does that say? And they go, it says no jumping. Well, I didn't jump. Oh, I did, huh? Mm-hmm. They're like, well, I didn't. I go, see number 2. And they're like, oh, no scissor takedowns. I was like, mm-hmm. Yeah, what about number 3? The number 3 is no over suplex, you idiot. Like, why are you suplexing at a jiu-jitsu gym if it's not a competition room? Like, this doesn't make any sense. So I like making fun of people for all these things. So it says, remember, being hit with a car isn't a big deal to Kevin.
It's not.
That's a fair note. You know what it is? Hurt people hurt people. So that's exactly what's happening here. He's just continuing the violence cycle that is happening here. Tim, I know you're starting to get short on time, so I'm going to go ahead and advance this just a little bit further.
Oh, yeah.
And it does say, where are they now? So this is your segment, Tim. I would like for you to tell us, where are some prominent individuals in the world of jiu-jitsu, and what are they up to these days?
Yeah, so I got a couple names here, and some of them, these guys aren't too far off the scene, but one of them's actually still out there, which is why I'm bringing him up. But the first name, we haven't seen him since, I think he competed like 2017, 2018 was maybe the last time we saw him at one of the big competitive events. And I'm talking about Justin Rader. Justin is a black belt under Rafael Lovato. And this is one of those guys that he came onto the scene. I think he made a splash like in 06, 07. He placed pretty high at Pans as a blue belt, and then he just started this trajectory at the same time that Rafael Lovato was kind of blowing up. I don't know why I say Rafael when he's from Oklahoma. Rafael Lovato when he was blowing up. Justin was just kind of like going up a few steps behind him. It was pretty cool to watch. He did pretty well on the competition scene. Some of his achievements, he was the world no-gi champion at brown belt 2009, 2010. He qualified for ADCC. He was in several ADCCs, and I thought he bronzed at ADCC, but I might be wrong about that. Some of the tough guys he fought against during his time period were like Rafa Mendez was for sure his kryptonite. He went up against him 5 or 6 times, I think, and he lost every time. I mean, most guys lost to Rafa, but he was competing in that generation of people. He is still an instructor to this day, and he's at Legacy Martial Arts in Oklahoma City, Edmonton. Seems like a great guy. He started a kids club there called Team Super Soldier, and one of the kids who was like part of Team Super Soldier recently just had his first adult competition, and he was pretty proud of that. Just that it's hard to get kids to actually stick with jiu-jitsu from childhood through becoming an adult. So that's a pretty cool way to do that by kind of creating a club and giving them sense of a group that they're in. The other name is a name that you guys probably have heard of, and that is Ronnie Yaya. This is a dude who was listen to this. He was a silver medalist at ADCC 2005. Okay. This dude just fought in April of 2024. Okay. This is how active Ronnie Yaya has been. And I feel like he gets some love, but he also kind of doesn't get enough. This guy's almost like our Cal Ripken. This is a dude that's been around forever. He's won at super duper high levels. He's a mixed martial artist. He's accomplished. He's fought for all the major promotions. And if you're asking where is he now, he's still fighting. That's what he's doing. 2005, I started jiu-jitsu as an adult man, 27 years old in 2005. This guy won the ADCC silver medal that year. So pretty cool stuff. You could check him out, Ronnie Yaya. Look him up. You guys know how to use the internet. But Justin Rader, Ronnie Yaya, 2 big names. Give them some love.
Let's not assume they know how to use the internet. That's a pretty.
Ronnie is getting up
claim
there in age, so.
But I would tell you this. Justin, longtime friend of our show as well. Love Justin. He was so sweet. He sent me one of like the first DVDs I think I ever got from somebody. Just to try and help me with my wrestling. Did not work, but good instruction on it. It's not his fault.
Send it to Ben.
Yeah, the Decapa Raider filled me with terror as a white belt.
Yeah.
That's so
That's
funny.
right.
Yeah. Well,
right.
I know it as, my variation was always the Dragon Sleeper, which is the reverse version of that. And I would just tell people, I'm like, I teach that to my students just to be like, if I see any of you doing this pro wrestling move, just know whatever happens to you is out the window. Like no more safeguards, no more of that list up there. I literally can pull all of the dumbest shit I think about and execute that if I want to. All right. I believe we are now currently at the time that everybody loves to talk about. We are now currently at the portion where we review a fight. So Tim, what can you tell us about the fight that you picked out for us this week?
Well, I could tell you this. Most of the time when you're clairvoyant, you are spot on, but this time you weren't. You mentioned earlier how Kevin doesn't have to worry about getting mugged in Chicago because crackheads can't fight. And we're going to find out. The title of this video was like regular guy versus crackhead. And it's kind of hard to tell who the crackhead is. And I don't know this. In all fairness to him, he may not be an actual crackhead, but for the purpose of this fight, he was labeled. They promoted him. The Street Fight Promotions promoted him as the crackhead. I don't think he's wearing shoes. And if he is, he's got some trippy kind of shoe he bought somewhere, like maybe jail shoes or something. They're not regular shoes at all. It's a good fight. It's surprising, and it's very martial artsy. I think you guys will find it interesting. It's pretty short, but it's sweet.
All right. Well, you said crackhead. You had me there. Let's take a moment to not only acknowledge that, yes, you found us a fight, but Lord knows what's on here. All right. First off, standing, gentleman has no shirt on, blue shirt, kind of backing up, saying, let me check the distance here. He gets a kick, doesn't quite get much off of it, and gets some receipts.
Oh.
Now is on the ground and still wants to continue this. But gentleman up top with no shirt is very easily passing his guard. But now he gives up and just says, like, ow, it hurt. No, I don't want to do this anymore. My friend, how do you let your guard down that significantly here? Now we're going for the low arm stance. And my man's, did he throw up there from that hit? Is that what I see there, Tim? Like, what precisely did you find for us this week, sir?
He knocked the tooth out that man.
Dude.
It's just the fact that dude got to the point where at the very end of that fight, he either got so wheezed that he's like, this hurts. But it was also him getting knocked down where he thought, he's like, no, I'm still in this. No, I'm not, dude. I'm just kidding. I can't fight no more.
He played the weakest open guard shin on shin I've ever seen. And about a half a second into it, he's like, I'm out. The other dude, the crackhead went from Mike Tyson, bobbing and ducking and moving around to Bruce Lee after he knocked him out. He literally just look at this. He's coming. Look at this. He's ready to box, man. He's fisticuffs.
I mean,
other dude realizes
there's something about that movement. Kev, do me a solid. Does this bode well for kicks? Because he didn't necessarily use any strength in this leg kick, because he literally has the back leg coming to do a front kick to the thigh and then gets dialed into the next century because of it. And then there's no going back here because now he's just eating. And it's this is the part that really, like, the exchange.
He hits a nice little pivot here right after the worst kick I've ever seen in my life. He hits this little inside leg. Oh no, it's an outside leg kick. Look at the zombie walk. Then he hits the pivot, turns, and immediately gets slept.
Oh, right hook.
Can we acknowledge something here, which is that this should be a lesson to all. Footwork is important. Don't neglect your footwork here, kids, because really the losing factor, aside from everything else, is the fact that my man stood flat feet on the ground and didn't bother to move. I'm not even getting to the bobbing of the head. I'm not even getting to the movement. I'm just doing, this dude literally said, I'm going to go with God here and we're going to see what happens.
That crackhead understands where power comes from, and he was not leaving he had both feet planted, ready to throw double hooks, just squared up, and he's hopping along. He doesn't want to bother with footwork. Look at this. Just little shuffles and hop steps. He said, nah, man, you're getting both of them as soon as I can. Keeps them planted.
Here comes open guard.
Uh-huh.
He goes shin on shin. Right here, shin on shin.
Right there.
Nah, he's like, nah. I got no.
Hold on. This is still my favorite part because, again, he's still in it. He's thinking to himself, I'm on the ground. I got this still. Put up my hands defensively. I can do this. Oh, shit. No, I can't. Am I going to fight him still? Nah, I'm going to come back up.
Bro.
And then this guy went on watch. This guy's like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Those guards, look at him. He's standing there like, what?
Let's go back to this. This is something that
is emoting on you. That's got to change.
He powered down right in front of us. He went into sleep mode.
I want to point this out. Do you guys ever do like sit-ups and push-ups at the end of class? This is like the students that are trying to get out of doing them. So just look at his body language. He doesn't want to do the crunches anymore. He's like, 3, 4. I can't do it, coach. He just needed somebody on the sideline just be like, hey, man, come on, just 5 more. Just 5 more. You can do this.
It's like trying to convince the white belt heavyweight to play a guard. That's what that looked like. He had about 5 seconds of shin on shin in him, and he was like, I can't do this. I'm out.
I don't know what I'm doing. It's the only thing I remember from the move. At what point did Blue Shirt realize he doesn't know how to fight? Was it after that kick? Was it the first flurry?
I'm gonna be honest.
Here,
I think this is the first moment it really happened for him. I think this is him giving in to the fact that like 100% of men overvalue their ability to get into a street fight.
It's like, you really will kick my ass, won't you?
I'm like, he had hands up and he said, "What am I doing? These aren't going to help me. These haven't helped me in any point so far."
Like, I just
That's
have to point.
sub.
I have to point this out. If you were ever in this position and this person doesn't stomp you, they are showing you some form of compassion and mercy. So whatever you want to say about this alleged crackhead, which we don't know for sure, but not looking very good here, at the very least, he gave him the dignity of being able to lie on his back and not get basically pummeled on. So there is respect in that. I would say, though, one last comment from me. This dude looks like, I don't know if you ever watched Friday, but Ice Cube's dad on Friday, John Witherspoon. He looks like Pops, but like in his younger days. So this is why he tells Ice Cube in the movie Friday, you got to go out there and you got to put some respect on it. You got to fight him. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I think that bodes well. It's a good prequel. So if anybody from the production team of New Line Cinema wants to reboot their Friday franchise, we just did it for you. Jets.
I think he looked like Charles Crazy Horse Bennett to me. That's who I thought it was originally. I'm like,
I will tell you my fear of putting up these is that sometimes I see a guy like that and I go, that dude with the shirt off might have just gotten signed to a 3-fight deal with Backyard Squabbles. So look out for that, I'm sure, in the near future. Tim, thank you so much for that. Gentlemen, why don't we go ahead and get to the get out? And it says, I was thinking the nice thing, Raph, or it's the same thing, Raph, nice pull. We always do, Egg, in a concerning way. We always do. Let's go ahead and give you guys the opportunity to go ahead and plug your stuff. I'm going to go ahead and start here with, first and foremost, Tim Freeman. Plug your stuff, sir.
hey, you can catch me at Inside BJJ. The Patreon is patreon.com/InsideBJJ. We just had Riley Rogers from Salt Electrolytes on the program last night. Didn't live stream, had a couple issues with that, rearranged the studio, got it more proper. And you know how it is when you unplug your equipment and plug it back in again. It never works exactly right, but that's going to be uploaded this evening. So you'll be able to check that out on YouTube. Outside of that, man, you can find me at PGF coming up and Subversive after that, not too long. So a lot of cool stuff coming up in the next few weeks, man. Stoked to be with you guys again. Thank you guys. Great show.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you. Kev, plug your stuff.
Yep, I'm out in Seattle right now. That's why we've got this lovely wall behind me and no microphone. I have a seminar tomorrow at Wave Combat in Tacoma. Come through. Other than that, I'm just looking forward to seeing you guys at the PGF. Come by American Top Team Lima and train with me, or Superfly in Decatur, Atlanta, and train with me, or find me at Kevin Grapples on Instagram.
Gents, Tim had to bounce out of here, but my thanks to both Kevin and the ghost of Tim Freeman. Appreciate those boys for putting in good work this week. And myself, thank you so much for stopping in. If you're watching this, like, comment, subscribe. Wherever you're watching, it always means the world to us. And if you're going to be going to any of our pages, say Inside BJJ on our podcast page, or YouTube, or let's say the Grappling Hour on our podcast page or our YouTube, give us a rating and review if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It really does make a difference. It helps to put us further up in the search engine. And you know how search engines, they're like kind of bitchy sometimes. Just saying. You guys can also find us on Patreon, patreon.com/grappling hour. You can see us every Friday. We will be back here next Friday for some more entertaining and hijinks. But our thanks and appreciation to all of you who tuned in this week. As a reminder, thank you so much. You are watching The Bullpen with your friends, RAF ESPARZA, Tim Freeman, and Kevin Sherrill. It has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.
Hours is a steep mountain to climb to become a master, especially when the task at hand puts a relentless demand on your body. There is nothing casual about this sport. It's all in, all effort, all focus. It takes a lot from you, but the reward is unmatched. Mastery of oneself, an acute understanding of your weaknesses with an explosive sense of your strengths. Being able to complete the climb to mastery requires the proper nutrition. This is why it's important to take in a potent blend of electrolytes that is in tune with your output and brings strength to your goals. This potent blend is only found in salt electrolytes. Salt targets your depleted electrolyte levels with a boost of hydration and health. It gives your body the baseline recovery it needs.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another installment of the Bullpen. Kev, we got a huge board. Why don't we get straight to it right now? Go ahead and lead us off.
Yeah, thanks, Raf. Today we're talking about the clean aesthetic of Gold BJJ. Their phenomenal streetwear they've got. It's not just training gear, guys. You can get streetwear. Raf, are these all Gold BJJ? All of these cards are Gold BJJ?
Yep, just read the script like we talked about.
Yeah, you're right. They've got a variety of styles. They have a bag. It's phenomenal competition gear. You can bring it with you. You can throw it in the wash. Raf, these are really cool. Are any of these for me? Like that bag?
No. They didn't have any stuff
Okay.
for you. They ran out of your
Well,
sizes.
they're really affordable if you need to go out there and get them. You can just get the stuff, goldbjj.com.
These shorts are awesome. I'm going to get this. Wait. Oh, this
Do they have a second set for me? Is that a thing they have?
They were like, hey, man, we ran out of stuff, and they didn't have it in your size because like fat. You know what I mean? So, like, these are all for like me. Anyway, go visit our friends at goldbjj.com.
Elevate your BJJ game with inverted gear, where pandas and performance meet. Whether you train in a gi or prefer no gi, we have something for you. Our gear is built to last and designed to perform no flashy extras, just high-quality craftsmanship and minimal design. Plus, pandas. Don't miss our back-to-school sale going on now. Visit www.invertijar.com and roll with confidence panda style.